The Arizona Department of Real Estate holds every licensee to a professional standard of competence that ensures consumers receive accurate, reliable, and complete information in all real estate matters. However, real estate practice often overlaps with fields that fall outside the scope of a licensee's expertise, such as law, construction, engineering, finance, home inspection, or environmental science. When a client raises concerns or requires information in these areas, a licensee's legal and ethical duty is to recognize the limitation of their own knowledge and refer the client to a qualified professional. This practice, known as referral to expertise, is an integral component of exercising reasonable skill and care as required under AEAC R4 28-11101H. The rule explicitly states that a licensee must recommend that a client seek professional assistance whenever the matter is outside the scope of the licensee's expertise. This means that a real estate professional is not expected to have expert knowledge in all aspects of property ownership or law, but is expected to know when an issue surpasses their licensing authority and how to direct the client toward the proper resource. For example, if a buyer is concerned about potential soil contamination near a former industrial site, the real estate agent should not attempt to interpret environmental test results or minimize the concern. Instead, the agent should advise the buyer to consult with an environmental engineer or the Arizona Department of Environmental Quality, ADQ. This principle protects not only the client, but also the licensee. Acting beyond one's field of competence exposes a licensee to liability for negligence or misrepresentation, as outlined under ARS by paragraph 32-153. Arizona courts have reinforced this standard in Lombardo v. Albu, 1997, holding that a real estate agent must act with the care of a reasonably prudent professional, which includes knowing when to defer to expert advice. Similarly, in Johnson v. Earnhardt's Gilbert Dodge, 2005, the Arizona Supreme Court emphasized that professional service providers are obligated to disclose their limitations and direct clients to appropriate authorities when the matter exceeds their qualifications. A practical example illustrates this duty well. Suppose a client is purchasing land in Marana and asks the licensee whether a private well on the property provides sufficient water rights for future development. This question involves complex legal and hydrological considerations governed by ARS Title 45. The licensee's proper response is to provide general information about Arizona's active management areas, AMAs, and then refer the client to the Arizona Department of Water Resources, ADWR, or a qualified water rights attorney for definitive advice. Providing personal interpretation of water rights laws without the proper credentials could lead to disciplinary action and financial liability if the buyer later discovers water access is restricted. This duty to refer also applies in matters involving structural integrity, legal disputes, and financial risk. If a home inspector identifies possible foundation movement, the licensee should recommend that the buyer consult a licensed structural engineer. If the client seeks advice about ownership entities or tax strategies, such as forming an LLC for investment purposes, the licensee should refer the client to a CPA or attorney specializing in real estate law. This distinction is critical under AAC R4 28-1101K, which prohibits licensees from providing legal, tax, or accounting advice, unless licensed to do so. Even in areas that may appear minor, such as verifying zoning classifications, it is best practice for the agent to direct clients to the city's planning and zoning department for written confirmation. A statement like, "I believe this area is zoned commercial," could become problematic if incorrect. Instead, a compliant response would be, "You should confirm the zoning with the city planning office to ensure that it supports your intended use." This referral duty aligns closely with the fiduciary principle of protecting the client's interests through diligence and care. It demonstrates integrity, humility, and professionalism, qualities that elevate the credibility of the entire real estate profession. When agents fail to refer clients appropriately, they risk breaching their duty of care, which can result in disciplinary measures by the commissioner, lawsuits for professional negligence, and reputational harm. Review summary. Referring clients to experts for issues outside the licensee's area of competence is not a sign of weakness. It is a hallmark of professionalism. Arizona law expects licensees to recognize their boundaries and ensure that clients receive qualified guidance. Whether it involves engineering, water rights, tax matters, or legal interpretations, the licensee's responsibility is to guide the client to the right professional resource. This practice protects both parties and ensures compliance with AAC R428-101 and ARS Paragraph 32-2153. Discussion prompts. Why does Arizona law require real estate licensees to refer clients to other professionals for certain issues? Answer. Because doing so ensures that clients receive accurate and expert advice in areas outside the licensee's legal scope, protecting both the client and the agent from liability. What should a licensee do if a buyer asks for legal advice about forming an LLC for an investment purchase? Answer. The licensee should refrain from providing legal advice and refer the buyer to a qualified attorney or CPA. How did the Lombardo vs. Albu case define the standard of care for real estate professionals? Answer. It established that agents must act as reasonably prudent professionals, which includes recognizing when to defer to experts. Closing remarks. The obligation to refer clients to the appropriate experts is a defining element of professionalism in Arizona real estate practice. A great licensee knows that credibility stems not from knowing everything, but from knowing where to find reliable answers. Referring clients to qualified experts not only prevents legal complications, but also builds trust and long-term relationships. In every transaction, the goal remains the same: protect the client's best interests through honesty, diligence, and collaboration with other professionals.